Some people move to the countryside for peace and tranquility. I moved there not just for the quiet solace, but for the preservation of memory, a physical space where recollections could breathe and live on. Every morning, I sit by the lake with Duke, my loyal golden retriever, sipping lukewarm coffee as the sun gradually breaks over the perfectly still water, casting golden reflections across the surface. That lake isn't just a body of water. It's the physical manifestation of the last dream my late wife, Emily, ever had. She used to spend hours flipping through travel magazines and would always pause, lingering over pages featuring ranches with sparkling, pristine waters nestled among rolling hills. "Marcus," she'd smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners with genuine happiness. "Let's retire somewhere exactly like this someday. Just us and the dog, watching sunsets and sunrises from our own little piece of heaven." But life doesn't politely ask permission before destroying your dreams. It simply bulldozes through them with cruel indifference, leaving you to gather the scattered pieces. Emily died 3 years ago. A drunk driver ran a red light at an intersection and took her away from me forever. After the somber, rain-soaked funeral, I sold absolutely everything. Our suburban house with a white picket fence, our sensible family car, even the thriving company I'd painstakingly built as a real estate appraiser over 15 dedicated years. I searched tirelessly until I found this ranch. 5 acres of pristine, untouched land featuring a perfect 2-acre lake, because it exactly matched a dog-eared page she had once carefully folded and lovingly saved from a travel magazine. This wasn't just my personal escape from grief. This was our sanctuary, the fulfillment of a promise I couldn't bear to leave unfulfilled. But no matter how far you run from civilization, no matter how remote the location you choose, some nightmares inevitably find you. And sometimes they wear yoga pants, drive luxury SUVs, and call themselves Patricia. Meet Karen, realtor from the 9th circle of entitlement hell. Patricia, though everyone in the small town just collectively called her Karen behind her back, lived on the adjoining property to the east. She was the quintessential example of a woman who genuinely believes her mere presence increases surrounding real estate value by at least 15%. HOA board member with an iron grip, passive-aggressive note dropper extraordinaire, neighborhood surveillance enthusiast, and apparently, as I would soon discover, part-time land pirate with delusions of grandeur. At first, her behavior seemed relatively harmless, even neighborly. She waved enthusiastically over the fence whenever she spotted me, made superficial comments about how handsome Duke was, politely asked if I'd consider joining the local HOA, which I very politely but firmly declined. But then, almost imperceptibly at first, things started getting decidedly weird. One ordinary Tuesday afternoon, a former colleague from my real estate days forwarded me a suspicious listing he'd stumbled across on some local property marketplace website. "Isn't this actually your lake?" he texted, clearly concerned about what he was seeing displayed on his screen. With growing apprehension, I clicked open the link, expecting some kind of misunderstanding. There was unmistakably my lake photographed from multiple flattering angles. Pictures clearly taken from my private dock without permission. The listing was professionally labeled in elegant font. Asterisk, tranquil fishing lake, perfect for tiny home development or exclusive waterfront community. Asterisk, asking price, a laughable $50,000 for property I legally owned. Seller? Patricia Henderson, luxury property specialist. I'll bury you under that lake. I immediately marched straight to her meticulously landscaped house, with loyal Duke trotting faithfully by my side. Surprisingly, when she answered the door in her designer athleisure wear, she didn't even have the decency to look surprised or embarrassed at being caught. "Oh, Marcus," she exclaimed with artificial cheeriness. "I was actually going to call you today. I thought you'd be absolutely excited about this opportunity. Investors are absolutely dying for waterfront property in this area right now. We could easily split the profit 60-40. Isn't that generous?" "We? Split?" "Patricia," I replied, struggling to maintain my composure, "that lake is entirely mine. You know that perfectly well. It's clearly outlined in my property deed. Her practiced smile faltered momentarily, revealing the calculation behind her friendly facade. You can't just selfishly hoard a natural resource like that. This is a community, Marcus. We all have rights to water access. It's practically a public service to develop it. I calmly reminded her that I possessed a legally filed and recorded deed that explicitly included the lake and its surrounding shoreline, and offered her two straightforward options: remove the fraudulent listing immediately and cease trespassing on my property, or prepare to speak directly with my real estate attorney about potential legal consequences. That's precisely when her carefully constructed mask of civility completely shattered, and she screamed it with such venom that even Duke took a startled step backward. "I'll bury you under that lake." Enter the police, and an unexpected twist. The very next morning, just as I was enjoying my sunrise coffee ritual by the water, two police cruisers arrived at my gravel driveway, lights silently flashing. Apparently, calculating Patricia had filed an official report with the local authorities. She dramatically told them I had physically threatened her on her own doorstep and was dangerously unstable and possibly deranged. I could immediately tell the younger, rookie officer had serious doubts about these allegations the moment he actually saw me standing there in worn boots and faded flannel, peacefully holding a gardening trowel and looking thoroughly confused. But the veteran cop, a weathered sergeant with salt and pepper hair, he took one long, evaluative look at my meticulously organized binder of property documents, the detailed screenshots of the unauthorized listing, and most damning of all, the security camera footage I had installed showing Patricia repeatedly photographing my private property without permission or legal right, and simply nodded with understanding. No charges were filed against me. The officers even apologized for the inconvenience. But Karen, as I soon discovered, wasn't remotely done with her campaign of entitlement. Dirty deeds and detailed deed research. I recognized that this wasn't just simple arrogance or neighborhood pettiness. It was clearly a calculated strategy. You don't deliberately list someone else's private lake for sale by innocent accident. You don't casually throw around terms like community resource and public access unless you're systematically trying to lay legal claim to property that isn't rightfully yours. So I did exactly what my 15 years of professional experience in real estate appraisal and transactions had taught me to do. I methodically pulled every relevant public record associated with both our properties, examining the history of ownership with a fine-tooth comb. And what I meticulously uncovered was absolutely delicious. The kind of property record discovery that makes real estate professionals rub their hands together with glee. As it turned out, Patricia didn't actually fully own her impressive property, as she had always claimed. Her late husband had originally bought into a complicated joint parcel agreement, and a critical tiny sliver of land strategically separating her primary residence from legal road access was still technically owned by the original developer's trust, which had been dormant for years. And guess who that nearly forgotten trust was now quietly auctioning their remaining miscellaneous holdings to? Me, the professional real estate appraiser who understood exactly what this particular chess piece was worth in our ongoing property dispute. Revenge served in precisely measured acreage. I completed the legal transaction within 3 business days, expediting every possible form and payment to secure the strategic parcel. The acquired plot? Just large enough to legally install a fully fenced security gate and a narrow private gravel access path to my own property. No laws were broken in the process. No threatening contact was made. No verbal or written threats were issued. Just one beautifully written, professionally formatted, and legally binding notice of easement termination carefully taped to Patricia's designer mailbox on a sunny Tuesday morning. Suddenly, Karen's coveted lake views and property value meant absolutely nothing in practical terms. Her expansive property was now completely boxed in, with no legal path to access the public street unless she formally purchased a new easement directly from me, the very neighbor she had attempted to defraud. Her immediate reaction to this legal checkmate: she dramatically screamed across the fence, her face turning an alarming shade of crimson. "You absolutely cannot do this to me." This is illegal harassment. I simply smiled serenely, deliberately lifted my steaming coffee mug in a mock toast to her distress, and calmly responded with her own words. This is a community, Patricia, and I'm just protecting it from unscrupulous development. Now, peace lives here again, undisturbed asterisk. Since that pivotal confrontation, she's angrily filed 3 separate formal complaints with various county authorities. All were systematically denied after review. Her unauthorized online listing was permanently removed after a cease and desist letter. The HOA attempted to mediate the dispute, but the property law was crystal clear and unambiguous. I legally owned both the lake and the crucial access land. She no longer had any public access without my explicit permission. And my beloved lake? It's more serene and peaceful than ever before, undisturbed by trespassers or unwanted development schemes. I even added a tasteful new cedar sign by the private dock, a small indulgence in petty satisfaction. Private lake, no public access. Trespassers will be forced to listen to all of Karen's recorded HOA meeting voicemails in their entirety.